let's say Bombay to Paris or Bombay to New York, there's something called journey server which calls to find out what are the possible routes from Bombay to Paris, and then what are the possible flights from Bombay to Paris, and what are the possible prices behind Bombay to Paris. And we're talking about an NP problem, or a very hard NP problem here, and the type of results that we get. And we have a fare database where the travel agents or the airlines come and file the fares with us, saying that this route needs this much price. We have a fare database for this. And more importantly, you can see in the middle, there is a common code for all channels. That means we don't segregate between different channels. We say that this is a common code which is going to work for all the channels, and is going to support multiple product lines. It's not going to support only one product line. It's going to support multiple product lines. We're going to see that a little bit. Okay, so now coming to this, this is by Andy Grove, the book called Only the Paranoid Survive. Okay, so the paranoid survive is the point where you can see an inflection point. There are a couple of technologies that disrupted us in the last 20 years, I think most of us. Can you name them? Where the inflection points? One he calls out very clearly in the book. The second one is already there. What are the inflection point in technology? In 2000s? How many of you worked in Y2K? Or no Y2K? So we moved towards something called internet, as you know. That's an inflection point. The second inflection point is mobile. As you know, in 2010, we have so much mobile applications coming in. So either the business grows like this, or the business comes down. So you go to any conference, people talk about Nokia, Instagram, etc., etc. That's where the inflection point. If you don't catch this inflection point, it goes off or it goes down. Now, why I'm telling this? I joined Amadeus 3 years before, and this is our growth. Okay, as you can see in the bottom of the graph is 2014, around 6th of October, the data is around 6th October. You can see the search is around 400 million, okay? And I can probably say that I added so many lines of code, it become 1.3 billion now. I'm just joking, but the thing is people are traveling a lot. The industry is growing a lot. The industry is getting close to double-digit growth every year. And the fastest growing market, according to IATA, any idea? The fastest growing? Asia, yes, but specifically in Asia? India, of course. So India is growing at 19% every year. That means the airports are running out of capacity. The airports are right now saying that we don't have terminals to host the flights. So you can imagine this is going to even go higher. So we reached an inflection point around 3 years before, and then you can see around 26th of September last year, there was a 1 billion search, and there was a celebration or an announcement that we've hit 1 billion. Now we are almost 1.3 billion, which is almost the population of India searching Amadeus data sets. Okay, this was the interesting slide. I had a lot of data, then I had marketing. So as you can see, there are two platforms that we have. One is called Master Pricer and Flex Pricer. The Master Pricer, as you can imagine, used by travel agents. They are basically the people who use all the flights like Emirates, Lufthansa, Air France, etc. Flex Pricer is only for mono airline. For example, go to lufthansa.com or airfrance.com, you get into this. So first is most of us do something called shop, look and inspire, saying that, oh, I want to go towards Goa, I want to go towards Bali, etc. You do look, and then you try to book. The book is the pricing page where you are almost committed, saying that I'm going to buy this ticket today. So there is something interesting we call look to book. So the ratio is pretty important for us because when we book, we get money. So it's not that when you search, we get money. When you book, we get money from the booking, right? When we make a PNR, that's where we get the money, right? And the second class of products is more cache-based. So for example, we use MongoDB to build pre-computed search because we know very clearly that in a festival season in India, let's say September, October, people use certain common routes. We pre-compute them and load. And then there is a refresh that happens behind the scenes every day based on your requirement, right, or customer requirement. And what we're talking here is around 18,000 transactions per second. That's the kind of volume or scale we're talking about, which means the system has to scale, right? And if you know this movie called Devil's Advocate, where Kevin Spacey talks and says, pressure changes everything. Which he says that people behave normally under situation, but when pressure comes, they change, the situation changes. So the scale changes everything. So I'm going to give you a few scenarios to show a little bit why I'm talking about that, okay? So now let me look at some few key challenges that we faced 3 years before when we joined. So we have close to 4.7 million lines of code written in C, okay? And we have a very minimal continuous integration, continuous deployment. And I'm not going to talk a lot about that, but we have a multi-site development team. Of course, we have a team in France, Bangalore, etc. And then we have a very less formal quality team. And for a release to happen of this magnitude 3 years before, it is 2 to 3 months, because you have a very bunch of highly monolithic code, difficult for you to do it. Then we have something called gatekeeper process. It was evolving, where people don't even know who would be the gatekeeper or how the gatekeeper would work. So these are some challenges that we faced, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about this. So before I start, so this is a boat where you can see so many people are loaded. I'm showing for a reason. How many of you do performance testing? Who can rise for A, B, C, D, E, and F, or G? No opinion. So requirements and design. How many of you rise? Performance test.
Precisely too. I think after that we'll have to.
So how do you do, I mean, given the kind of search numbers that you talked about, how do you test how responsive is your UI, be it web or mobility wise?
That's a good question. What we do is we tell our customers, for them, they have built their own cache. They can do anything on their own, right? Because to response time and everything. They do implement a lot of strategies to do that. But we tell them, this is our response time when you hit our engine. That's what we do. The UI response, we are not assured, because obviously you know very well that it's developed by multiple people, multiple teams. So we are a B2B2C company. We are not a B2C company. Though we work with customers like Kayak, who does one of the largest travel agent, but they have their own pre-computed cache, and that takes care of that. But to answer your question straight, 2-3 seconds, that's what we say. But at the end, it will be 8 seconds or less than that.
Thank you.
Last question. I'm able to hear you.
Are you using A/B testing or what?
Yeah, that's a good question. So shadow testing, there are a lot of customers who ask for A/B testing. For example, some customers say that my click, the book ratio should be higher. We do A/B testing for them. But generally for airlines and some people who are not in the competitive space, where they want to, for example, a customer like Kayak, or even customers who are Expedia, they do A/B testing every day, and we support it, right? And we as a provider, we need to support it. But for shadow testing, you're right. It's a combination of A/B plus shadow. But what shadow I'm talking about is an internal testing that we have. We don't rely on the customer testing. But if they say that I want to do A/B testing, can you switch the traffic? We'll do it. So we support A/B testing, but A/B testing is slightly different, because this is our version of A/B testing to prove the reliability metric. The metrics are different. For customers, the metrics is conversion. So for us, the metric is stability. Right? Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, perfect. Many thanks, Mr. Hari Bhaskar. So it was indeed a wonderful presentation. Always good to hear from MADS. In fact, we have been working closely with Roshan Khan as well.
Yeah, sorry.
So, yeah. Here's your memento.
Yeah. Thanks, Arjun.
The audience, thank you very much.
In the next couple of minutes, those of you standing outside, I would request you to kindly come inside so that we can start off without any further delays. Would request all the Unicom staff members to call everyone inside, and what the future of testing is going to be, where it stands today, and so on. We have yet again a very interesting presentation by an able gentleman who is definitely one of the industry stalwarts, Mr. Rahul Verma. And this presentation also is one of the X factors as far as today's proceedings go. So Rahul, can we have you upstage, please? Thank you. So he would be presenting his own unique perspective on what he believes as to where the software industry stands and what has been the past, and certain things that he would like to enlighten all of you about. So Rahul, I would leave that to you from here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Am I audible at the back? All right, great. That's quite a number of people. Thank you, thanks for being here. And I had a good day today. So starting with Barish and Anand, Hari. So these are the three talks which I had the opportunity to sit in. And I think they were very, very decent. So given the average standard of conferences in India, I must say I'm having a very nice day today. So can we clap for these guys? I'm just trying to warm up, okay? Every time I get on stage, there is this 2 minutes of hesitation, so I just talk random things. So coming to the concept of keynote, what is a keynote? Every time in 2007 is when 2006 and somewhere in Bangalore, when I attended my first testing conference. So there was this, that so-and-so person is going to present a keynote and then this would be there. I've often wondered what keynote is about. And over a period of time, I of course attended quite a few keynotes. And what I came to understand is keynotes are about future. The future tech. What is going to happen in future? How we should get ready for that, and so on and so forth. So when I was invited for a keynote here, this is maybe second or third time I've been to a keynote, and every time it confuses me that, I haven't I don't think so I've earned the right to be a keynote speaker. But I have earned the right to speak the truth. Every time such an opportunity has been given to me, what I've tried to be is your voice on stage. I don't know why, whenever somebody comes on the stage, they always talk about success stories. Somehow everybody who gets on this stage is an expert. And their company is doing very well. And everything is so wonderful. And then on Facebook we say, people learn from failures. From the morning, where is that failure talk? Tell me. Where is that story of failure? In a conference, in an annual conference, so last year we didn't fail. Everything went pretty perfect. Where are those papers who just come here and share a failure story? I've asked this question often. There is no such submission, right? That paper doesn't get selected. That we failed terribly, we screwed up, now let us present. But I think those are the stories which should get into a conference. We would probably learn more. So this is not really a keynote. I tried to find the meaning of the word yesterday. What is a keynote? So typically keynote is about the central theme of a conference. This keynote is not that keynote. Okay? That whole talk of agile and those things, you don't know who you're seeing on stage. Some of you, 2-3 people know me, that I'm not really an agile person. Mera janda agile ke khilaf hai bahut der se. All right, so I'm not really representing the theme of this conference. This cannot be that keynote. It cannot be called that keynote. By the way, this session was called End Note. And we had that discussion, I had that discussion with the conference that, okay, End Note. And that's how this title was born, the last keynote on software testing. And the origin, there is a reference, I'll come to that slide. This is also not a keynote of a chord. When you have a C# chord, for example, in music, so C# is the keynote. This is not that kind of keynote as well. However, this is the keynote I would like it to be. The keynote on software testing. It's not a Unicom next generation testing keynote. Not at all. For a change, I would like to present a keynote on software testing. What is that keynote? What is the problem? Are there any facts we have forgotten? Are there any forgotten ideas? Are we rehashing them over and over again? Some of the samples were seen today as well. Or are we talking about new knowledge? Or are we just labeling old stuff, old wine, new bottle? Even you don't need a new bottle today. So what is, I've just changed the color of the bottle. Possibly it sells because it's new. Before we proceed, I must say that testing is a critical thinking. Go back to your company and have an open challenge. Do critical thinking and then somehow save your job. Yeah? So this, you see, so people want you to think critically as long as you are not critical about them. I have had those discussions with many testing experts like that. They ask you lateral thinking, this thinking, that thinking, but the moment you criticize their work, you're a villain. Anyway, so too much of thinking. So this is a very light-hearted presentation. If you look at it, it's not a tough presentation to go through unless it irritates you. And the joke that irritates you is a measure of your character, right? Not the joke at which you laugh. So anyways, so I'll dedicate this presentation to Ibn Insha. He's a very renowned ghazal and poetry writer. However, he was a damn good satirist. He has a book called Urdu Ki Aakhri Kitab, the last book of Urdu. And the title of my talk is actually a reference to his book. This book is on Hindustan and Pakistan. What happened exactly? Get it over with. It is also in memory of my childhood, because I called a fart. And then I grew up, and it took me 10 years to build that courage again, to call a fart a fart. Can you say that out loud with me for once, please? Be the child again. Fart. Thank you. Try talking to your kid. They know it smells bad, but they like talking about it. What are the farts around us about which we have stopped talking? Agile, for example. When you enter a room and when you smell a fart, it is a fart. It might be labeled Agile. It might be labeled Scrum. It might be labeled next gen thing. It could be anything. If you smell a fart, it is a fart. And have the guts to say that. Don't run away from the obnoxious language. You need that. Because you see, we know the silent ones are more dangerous. We have the facts, fundamentals with us. The silent farts are more dangerous. There is a question thread going on, Quora by the way, that why do some farts produce sound, others don't. So for more technical details, you can refer. It talks about frequencies. I had to really mask that word. Some vibration frequencies they talk about. Anyways, coming back to the topic, problem is not more because of this blatant lies in the marketing around us. The brochures, the stalls in conferences. It's not because of them. The problem is our silence. एक बार पूछूंगा आपसे, are you happy about Agile? एक बार पूछूंगा बस. Are you happy about Agile? Say out loud. Listen to the number of no's and the silences and the yeses. You get the ratio right. Today on this stage, one of the speakers said only 30% companies get it right. I think he overplayed the number. It's probably 8-10%. What are those? So can I assume all those 100% of that 30% or 10% are sitting here? Then why do you cry? Why are you crying? Whenever we sit in person, why do people come to me every single time and cry about what is going on in their company? I can't name those companies. That's the reason they are safe. They're pretty big names, very, very big names who in the outside world they're projecting their Agile. Internally, they're nothing. They have lost that identity long back. They don't know who they are. Most of us don't. And that's the problem. And that's what this keynote is about. I'm not going to talk about future. People with screwed past have no right to talk about future. I'm going to talk about past and the problems which we have not solved and the future problems which are being projected on the stage that we are trying to solve. Future problems, I guarantee you, they are the problems from our past, not from the future. Looked at the panel discussion. Did they answer my question? Did the panel answer my question? That this question about test automation versus tester has been there for about 1.5 decades or maybe more. My career doesn't go beyond that. Same answers, because there is no new answer to this. It's not about the skill level of the panelists. Please understand, I'm not challenging. They're very, very good experts. We got good people here. But what else they can answer to you apart from saying, please learn? Did we? Why did Agile come into picture to tell you the importance of programming? What was the problem with waterfall? Wasn't there a design stage in waterfall? So the people who were involved in design reviews If a tester had to be on that stage, didn't he have to know UML or going through requirements documents? That skill, even in agile teams, doesn't exist today. People say, we are getting it reviewed. First time when somebody gave that UML in front of me, मेरे तोते उड़ गए थे कि ये क्या रख दिया मेरे सामने. As a part of process, it came to me, and it went back. No addition, no value addition. And that's what you're doing. Please confess. Yes or no? How do you really think testers are adding value up that shift left? झूठ मत बोलना. I am your textbook generalist. Every 2 years I have shifted my domain. I have been a performance engineer. I've been a security engineer, API tester, white box tester, and not at one time. I actually started out as a fresher every 1.5 to 2 years. I know the cost of being a generalist. And now at 15 years experience, I'm telling you it's not worth it. So those of you who are trying to be a generalist in a very small time span, that we would do this also, that also, please, please, please think of what you would be when you cross 10 years experience. Who would want you? The industry is fooling you, friends. It has always done. And they're right. It means business to them. I'm a business person. Now I understand. So, this is a reference to a movie called They Live. It's basically that aliens are all around us. It looks all normal and everything is good, but if you put this particular spect, then you see very different side of the world. Okay? And I think that one set of specs is this presentation. It is one perspective of the testing world. It's not the perspective, it's my perspective. I could be wrong, but every man, every woman is a person of his or her own experience. I am talking from my experience. I could be wrong, it's perfectly fine. You can disagree. Now you've seen my tone, right? Every time I plan that I would smile on stage, every time. That this time, let me not get passionate. It doesn't look good. I'm getting older and it would start looking even worse. People say, this is an immature guy. Tape hue aadmi ko aur kya expect karte ho aap? However, this time I thought, let's not talk about testing for most of the presentation. Okay? Because as long as jokes are targeted at somebody else, we don't mind. So let's talk about tasting. Let's talk about a fictional world. Let's talk about a restaurant. Now this restaurant had chefs. Those chefs would prepare the food and they would prepare the food, but soon people realized that food which is not tasted and directly served to the customer, if it turns out bad, it's very good. So somebody should taste the food. So they started this practice called tasting, that chefs must taste. But then in their group, they used to taste the food which was cooked by other chefs on their own. But they soon realized that chefs like their own food. Right? The way people don't mind their own farts. You see, the analogy continues. I can't help it. And chefs like to cook. They don't even like to taste.